You are now listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents a conversation about music podcast. Chew! Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And at this time, y'all already know this is MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents a conversation about music podcast, the pilot episode. And during this time, I will be talking about my love for music and what made me want to give this show another try. It's another spinoff show, another try. So my love for music started as a kid. As a kid, my parents was, they were heavy on gospel, and they played this one artist heavily as a kid. Called the Clark Sisters, and this one song that always played was "You Brought the Sunshine Into My Life," which turns out when I found out probably like last year that was a Stevie Wonder sample. And now as a kid they played that a lot to the point that I would have dreams about that song, and when I woke up from my dream that song was playing. That's how real that song was. Of course, as a kid, I heard a lot of Michael Jackson, Jackson 5. At one point, my parent had the Thriller album. But, as a kid, I know I told the story like many times and about other episodes that, as a kid, I watched the video Thriller, and then I started having nightmares and got traumatized by the video Thriller to the point that I threw the album away and threw the cassette tape of Thriller away. And ever since then, until I was 8 years old, I was traumatized by the video Thriller. Even though I was a Michael Jackson fan as a kid. Also, for my love for music, my first hip hop artist I heard as a kid was LL Cool J. I Need Love, of course. I Need Love. Lady LL Cool J. I heard that song and I was like, yo, this is how hip hop sounds. Like LL Cool J have a different style in hip hop, man. It was very different, very unique. Even in the 90s, he still had that old school feel from when hip hop originally came out. And LL Cool J always was one of my favorite hip hop artists. And yeah, LL Cool J will always been my guy. And on top of that, it was another group that I loved as a kid, and nobody know about this. But I used to love New Kid on the Block, and because as a kid in the 1990s, they had a cartoon called the New Kids on the Block cartoon where they used to go like some scenario clues, and then at every episode they would play a music video, and based on that I started learning more about them. And yeah, and it was a good show. It used to be on ABC Saturday mornings. It only had one season, got canceled for one season, but it was a good content. That's how I discovered music as a kid. But of course, each year my love for music grew until my aunt used to drive me and my sister to school when I went to go to private school for 5th grade, and all she used to do is play a lot of old school, like Michael Jackson, Jackson 5, the OJ, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight and the Pimps, Stylistics, and a lot more artists. And at that time, I didn't like old school like that. I wasn't too much big fan of old school, the Motown days. But as I kept hearing it, as time went on, my love just grew and grew a lot more. On top of that, around this time, we had artists like 112, Jagged Edge, Aaliyah, Genuine, Joe, and they were out at the moment, and they was kind of in the R&B scene at the moment, and yeah, music was just rising, and music was just amazing. So as times went on, by the time I got to before I get to my story, when I got to 8th grade, as a kid I had many dreams. At one point I wanted to be a firefighter. Another time I wanted to be a police officer. It seemed like every few months my dream changed, and I want to be a teacher. But I know one dream that never changed, And then there's one thing that always changed, that never changed, and that was to be a radio host and to be anything and do anything with music. So like the radio host thing started as a kid. You know, of course I listened to a lot of radio. You know, Hot 97, WLS, Kiss FM. You know, and Radio Disney as a kid a lot. You know, stuff like that. And it was this one commercial where it was like a machine where you go have a radio thing, hook it up, and your voice would be heard on AM radio. So when I seen that, like, oh my God, I wanted this thing so bad. So I could be on the radio. And, you know, that dream just never happened. It just never happened. And, you know, as a kid, I knew that off the back of I want to be a radio host. But another thing that was stopping me, because, you know, as a kid, I used to get bullied a lot. I used to get bullied because of my speech. Because I can't pronounce certain words right. When I talk, I stuttered. And, you know, and doing people bullying me as a kid, I got discouraged and not confident in my voice and stuff, you know, and everything like that. Which, you know, on a future episode, I'll talk more about that. You know, my childhood being bullied and stuff on a future episode of my actual main show. But yeah, so you know, so we're going to go to 8th grade. In 8th grade is where I wrote my first song. And the song was called Son. S-O-N, Son. And the song was a comedy, you know. It was a comedy song. It was really weird. The words didn't make sense. And it was just a funny comedy song. And I guess I got scared. I made people listen to it, hear it. And then I got really discouraged, you know, hearing that. So later, I started developing my love for poetry, and I started writing poetry. And at times, I guess later, I just become really good at it, you know. So times went on. I started to come with the idea where I want to turn my poetry into songs, and that when I started writing songs, starting from I believe with 10th grade. I just started writing songs out random. Started writing songs. And next thing you know, writing songs and selling cassette tape out of my locker. yeah, don't judge me. I used to sell cassette tape out of my locker in high school. So, you know, during the end of 10th grade, you know, me, you know, my boy, you know, Rondell, a.k.a. Mr. Aaron Sands, Raymond Jeremy, a.k.a. RJB, a.k.a. DJ No Crest, and my homie Jody, we randomly show our talents. They found out writing songs. I found out that we would rap it. We started rapping, do some things, and a year later we decided to start a music group, you know, based on that experience. And at the time, the music group was called Blaze of Glory. It was inspired by Cliff's song, Blaze of Glory, that was on Neptune Pacific Clones. And that's how the idea for that name came. And it was a fun experience. We recorded some songs together, but we never recorded it until a year later. And a year later, I recorded my first song called "Meaning of Love" with the bro Mally Mal on the track. And for what it was an okay song for what it was at the time. And and you know, my love for music just grew even more, just writing songs. And by this time, by when I was in 12th grade, I literally wrote 100 songs already, based on, you know, based on this writing. And as time went on, we started taking serious with music. You know, I wanted to do more with the music. So 2007, we changed our name from Blaze of Glory to Blaze of Click, and we wanted to take the music a little serious. Of course, we had some distracting years. So by 2010, by 2009, we went to the studio to record our first couple of songs, and we released them in 2010. Which one of them was Teddy Overload. Of course, Edward played on many stations, Hot 97, Power 105, a lot of underground stations, a lot of college stations. We even performed it in front of people on shows, you know. And you know, and I was happy because, you know, I love music, and I think by then my love for music grew. But I know at one point I lost sight of music because I felt like it wasn't going anywhere, and I lost sight of it, And I wanted to do radio. I do have that dream of to do radio, but I didn't know my knowledge for music never changed, And I think by 2010, my love for old school grew a lot more. Listen to the Quiet Storm, listen to a lot of artists, listen to the Motown days artists that I didn't like back then. I thought I loved it now. And then later, going back to the 90s, a lot of the music inspired me to just do this. And and I'm pretty sure y'all know now, January 20, 2019, I started MrGentleman the podcast. And my long dream of becoming a radio host or podcast host finally happened, after all these years, and to this day, my love for music continues. So what made me want to do the show? Well, first, I tried to do the show the first time around in June 2019, where I started a new show called New Music / Unsigned Hype Fridays, where on Friday I played nothing but brand new songs and play unknown artists, so the MrGentleman the pocket fan could listen to and know more about. And it was first two episodes were received good, then it just went down here because people hated the fact that it was more music playing and no discussion. So I just scrapped the whole episode completely. And it was just many times though, me just wanted to bring the show back for a very long time. I wanted to bring the show back, but just didn't know how to. Until now, I was like, I finally bringing the show back. I want to do it the right way. I want to showcase my friends or people I know who got talent, who haven't got talent to show, in a bigger platform. I want them to start here, And that was my goal. I know a lot of music artists. I know a lot of people who got talent. And even though mainstream artists is not my favorite, the new mainstream artists is not my favorite, but I know the underground artists who deserve the opportunity. I feel like this is the platform for them, and that's why I started A Conversation About Music podcast spinoff show, where we're gonna talk about anything about music. I can bring artists on the show, and they talk about their journey from their beginning to the art they are today, and even bring artists that on the mainstream circuit. I want to know their story about where they came from to where they're at now, so they can inspire others who want to be an artist, who want to take the opportunity to not give up and do what they love to do. Cause my thing is, if you have a job, make sure you love it. Make sure you love what you do. Make sure you just love it. And I want that for everybody who's listening, and just follow their dreams. Cause anything possible if you follow your dream, and if you keep going, don't let nothing, no job, and nothing distract you for that dream. Just always remember that, y'all. Just always remember that. And I wanted to say thank y'all for tuning in to this. The reason why I love music, it's so many reasons why I love music, man. If you really listen deep to it, it's about the emotion, it's about how they feeling. You just gotta really listen. It's about the melody, the beat, the melody on that beat, the background vocal. I pay attention to all of that, and I pay attention to that with new unsigned artists as well. I pay attention to stuff like that. And if that pop, then I'm gonna represent and play on my show. And I feel like y'all deserve it. I just hope that let you all to come on the show. It's open for all the guests. I want to hear your stories. That's all I really have to say, y'all, and I'll be right back. You are now listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Season 4. Yeah!